Just a quick reminder guys, these narrations are best enjoyed with headphones on. Hey everyone, welcome to Source Code. One of the two miniseries that Tales and myself will be running throughout nostalgic November, and some of December as well, as I go through a game that's been deemed as Game of the Decade by the Video Game Awards. Is this game all that it's cracked up to be? I mean, there are quite a lot of classic games releasing out there in the 2000s. Without further delay, let's find out. Valve Corporation's Half-Life series is one of the most noteworthy, revolutionary and well-received series of the gaming industry as a whole. The first entry of the series was released in 1998 for the PC. Fun fact for you guys, did you know that the original Half-Life was originally to be ported to the ill-fated Sega Dreamcast console, and the game's first expansion, Blue Shift, was to be a Sega Dreamcast exclusive. The game has been very well received by the gaming publications at its time of release, and received multiple Game of the Year awards. The base game received 2 expansions, Blue Shift and Opposing Force. The base game received 2 expansions, Blue Shift and Opposing Force, which tells the story of Half-Life in 2 whole new perspectives. The Blue Shift expansion shows the perspective of Black Mesa security guard Barney Calhoun, and the Opposing Force expansion shows the perspective of US Marine Adrian Shepard. Anyway, fast forward to 2003, as co-founder of the company Gabe Newell announced that the sequel to the original Half-Life was an active development in Valve, with a whole new game engine to boot, the Source Engine, the focal point of this review series. But the game's development didn't exactly go smoothly. First off, a hacker from Germany used a security exploit in Microsoft's email service Outlook to infiltrate Valve's computer network and steal the entire source code of the game. So naturally, the pre-release version of this game was leaked online, so Valve had to delete the game, and once again, the game finally got released in 2004. The game is set 20 years after the first entry of the series. Humanity is still smelling the ashes after the Black Mesa incident and the Resident Cascade. As a result from this, Earth is now under the occupation of an interdimensional empire known as the Combine. Humanity was reduced to a slave race governed by the former administrator of Black Mesa, Dr. Wallace Breen. You play as MIT graduate Gordon Freeman. You find yourself out of stasis caused by the mysterious G-Man. And in the middle of combat-controlled F capital City 17, it is up to you to join the human resistance, fight against the Combine, and take Breen down. The accessibility scores are as follows. Right, to kick things off, visibility give it 7. First off, let's start with the negatives. There is no colorblind node support in this game. To make matters worse, these switches are normally color-coded. Green means that the switch is on, red means that it's off. As I said time and time again, red and green is a definite no-no when it comes to colorblind people. But there are other indicators, such as the switch's position should give you an indication. So although a serious issue exists, the game is still playable for a player with a visual impairment. Next on the agenda, Audibility given 11. This game has closed caption support, which means that even sound effects are subtitled. This means that a player with a hearing impairment can use imagination to build a mental picture to immerse him or herself as the story progresses. Next up, mobility given 9. In the version of Half-Life 2 which we're using to test this game, that's Half-Life 2 Update, this has better gamepad support. When the gamepad is connected and the controller option is enabled, gamepad controls can be used in a co-pilot fashion. You can use your mouse and keyboard to navigate through most of the game when you're on foot, but you can use your gamepad for the vehicular sections, such as the waterboat section in Water Hazard and the dune buggy section in Highway 17. Controls and button layers when using a controller can be completely customized when using a gamepad, but you can't customize the stick layout. Same goes for the console version, which is backwards compatible on your Xbox One or your Xbox Series S or X. So this revamp of the PC version of this game would be the best way to go when playing this game. Last but not least, gameplay given 9.5. As I have said in the introduction of this review, Half-Life 2 has been hailed as Game of the Decade. There are other games released in this particular decade which is in my opinion better, but this game still is a modern day classic nonetheless. The story is both interesting and engaging. Also, the settings is excellent for a sci-fi action game. The depressing, dark theme of combat-controlled Earth is a great way to immerse yourself in the game's lore. However, when you complete the game, that's it. There's no additional content apart from Half-Life 2 Deathmatch to keep you playing. But that was the standard for an OG Xbox or PS2 generation game. Online play on the console was few and far between. But in this case, the multiplayer element of the Orange Box is Team Fortress 2. Nowadays, single-player only games are a rare and dying breed. Nowadays, there are very few games out there, apart from Fallout and the Elder Scrolls, that are single-player only story experiences. In summary, Half-Life 2 is an excellent single-player only experience, but in my opinion, the label game for the decade would have gone for Halo 3. It has more multiplayer capabilities, both online multiplayer and cooperative. This game is also playable on PC via the Master Chief Collection. However, in terms of system requirements, this game does not require lots of horsepower in your PC to play. If you own the Orange Box either on PC or 360, it's backwards compatible on your 360 and your Xbox Series S or X. You can also access the follow-up games, episodes 1 and 2, which expands the story like an expansion or story DLC, hence the reason why we will not be reviewing these two games individually. So if you're looking for a cheap single player only game to play on the run up to Christmas, you know, like saving up for presents, food, decorations, you get the picture. This game is an excellent choice, and the overall score is a massive 91.25%, and source code kicks off to a high start. See you guys in the next review, which Tails is going to be reviewing the definitive edition of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Spartan Commander 1998. Roll out, Spartan Legion.